In this interview, I meet up with Krysty Kwally. She is a life and a parent coach who works with women through different stages of their life and parenting journey as a whole. She has worked as a family assistant with many different families from different backgrounds for the past 10 years. Let's welcome Krysty. Hi, Krysty. Thank you so much for coming in today and doing this interview with me. I wanted to start off by asking you, you're a family assistant, right? You're a parent coach as well as family assistant. During the COVID and the lockdown, you worked with some parents and their
Yes.
families. I wanted to ask you, what are some of the dangers do you see teens facing now?
Specifically when it comes to isolation, loss of their individuality, and loss of their, sense of belonging, and isolation when it comes to, the type of danger that they're facing right now online because they're home 24/7. They have their electronic 24/7. So these are the main danger that I see teenagers are facing right now.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working with these families, how much control is the parent having with the electronics and stuff? You know, you said that they.
Yeah, so mainly when I work with the family, in the lining of being a coach, you can only do so much. So when I work with the family, I do my best to influence and educate and inform them by saying that, he's 9 years old, he doesn't need an iPhone, or, this is what's happening right now. And so whatever I find in an article in my research, I share with them saying, there's this 16-year-old, he just passed away because he was playing a game in his room and his parents were sleeping. So I try to inform the parents as much as I can to alert them by, informing them and educate them in the danger that their kids are potentially, seeing online, whether they want it or not, it finds them. So
Yeah, it is. And they're on it because, obviously we didn't have much to do outside, right? We were, in the house. So do you think during this time there was a habit that was developed that's going to be harder to break for some of these teens, some of the teens you've worked with?
not necessarily. For me, it's mainly, what were the family rules before COVID-19 when it comes to screen time or electronics. So if there were no regulation, rules, and boundaries, when it comes to screen time and video games and, electronic, now, during quarantine, it's loose. Now everyone's just be in their room, close the door. Mom is tired, dad is frustrated, dad is worried about work, mom is worried about managing the home, so the kids are in their room 24/7 if they're electronic. So mainly it has to do with what was the rule and the boundaries before COVID. Because
Hmm.
if you didn't have it during COVID, it's, nothing's going, it's gonna go worse,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly. What do you see are the changes and dangers with the families and the structure of family, right? There's something happening in that, right? Like
Yeah,
between the parents, right? Even the adults are having a lot of,
yeah, yeah.
after this COVID is over, we have the isolation and being together with each other so long has done something. What do you notice in that area, family?
Mainly, the first one that I noticed is marital problem. And again, I keep telling the families, like, do not blame quarantine. You already had these issues. You just were ignoring them, neglecting them, or not being aware of them. Now, quarantine has given you enough time to actually, see them and, hit you in the face. So mainly marital problem. Then, you have like financial instability. And then you have the idea of, social issues when it has to do with moving, changing school, or changing how the school is going to be. Some parent now has to probably homeschool. And some parent, because of financial stability, they probably going to have to cut from vacation, cut from, after school activities. So these are the different changes. Or some parent now both of them have to work. Before maybe mom used to stay at home, but now because dad lost his job, mom has to work now. So there's a lot of changes that parents will be facing.
So do you notice there's a lot of issues with relationships then, right? Within the
Yes.
family, right?
Yeah.
There's lots
Yeah.
going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like there's
Um, no, mainly again, I always say, I my business coach is life as a whole. I always see or go for the whole picture, get to the root of the problem. Mainly it's the idea that how were your marriage, how were the relationship in the family before COVID. If we were ignoring all the red flags and we were just going to the status quo, we were like on autopilot. Because of COVID, now we hit pause, and then now we don't know how to treat each other because we've been functioning so much on autopilot. Dad goes to work, mom's go to work, we go to school, we come from school, we do homework, we do dinner, boom, let's do it again next day. So if there were not moments during our lives or during their lives where they actually pause and we evaluate their value, we evaluate the family standard, let's check in with each other. If they didn't have that structure before COVID, now it's chaotic because everyone's getting on everyone else's nerves. Everyone's frustrated, everyone is scared and worried about whatever COVID is going to bring into their life. So relationally, if you did not have a healthy, respectful and honoring relationship before COVID, now it's even worse. That's why there's going to be a lot of divorce, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is sad. So tell us, how can we foster these the relationship between the family members? How do you help them foster that?
Mainly, I always start with the kind of question that I ask a family, when I work with the families, do you have healthy boundaries set up? How do you function in as a family? Is the kitchen, or what is it, the chicken are running wild in the farm, or like how is there a structure when it comes to healthy boundaries? And what are the family rules? Do you have a family rules? What do you stand for as a family? Is there like a family motto? We never give up, or we respect each other, we treat it, whatever that is. This is how I start to kind of help them understand that that's the first step. Building healthy boundaries, knowing and having family rules and regulations, and what are your family standards, what goals do you have for your family. When everyone is in line with the family rules, when everyone is in line with what the family stand for and the belief system, then whatever comes their way based on what your family has been founded on, we can brace it together as a team. But if there's no structure, no actual strategy as how do we function in this family, it's always going to be chaotic whenever life happen, and life happen every day. But, yeah.
What would you say, some like if my family is chaotic, for example, right now, right? Where should I start? Like, what's the first step can I do as a mom?
First step is you need to meet with your spouse if you're married. Like, first step, we need to have like Mayday meeting, emergency meeting. And because you have to work as a couple first before you go out as a parent to talk to the children. So Mayday meeting, we have pause, something's not working, or a lot of things are not working. We can't keep going like this. What do we need to do? So the first thing is have a meeting with your spouse and go over the things that are not working, and go over the things that are working. But the things that are not working are the things that are causing problems. So we need to focus on that right now. Yes, you and amazing husband, you're an amazing wife, but that's not the issue. The issue is a lot of things are not working, and because of it, the family is chaotic. We always stress out. We're getting on each other's nerves. So what do we need to do as a couple so that we can lead the children in a way that they see us, like this? I always do this when I just, they see us as a team, as a, teamwork. So yes, you need an emergency family meeting as a couple immediately, like yesterday.
And you notice that you said a lot of families are in the breaking up, separating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to cause a lot of anxiety for the kids, right? Especially the kids in this environment, right? Can you explain about that? And what do you see happening? Like, I think you even said something like there are a lot of houses for sale. That means there's a move coming as well. Yeah. Can you?
Yeah, in my area, because I live in Silicon Valley, and especially like your world depend on your job. This is not you paying $800 per week for a 3-bedroom, per month for a 3-bedroom. This is $1 million houses. So imagine a father that that lost his job during COVID-19, and the mom used to stay at home. The stress is up the roof right now because he's trying to provide for his family, and she's trying to keep the kids sane without going all over the place. So, and then if at the end of the day they can't make it, they can't afford $1 million house anymore. So
Mhm.
if they were not healthy and wise and responsible financially before COVID, their 401k, invest in mutual fund and all that, they're done. They can't live in this area anymore. So that's why, unfortunately, as I go for long walks every morning, a lot of for sale sign. It's crazy. So, and again, that has to do with before COVID. COVID did not cause this problem. They were there. It's kind of like when the ties go back, you see what was underneath it. If that's even a term, yeah, yeah. So when the ties go, roll back, then you can actually see what the family was founded on, and be like, "Ooh, you in trouble." Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. So that's going to affect the kids that you're going to
Oh
work
yeah,
with.
definitely. Um, they have roots, their friends, extracurriculum activities, especially Stanford University. Like a lot of kids, don't sleep because they want to get into Stanford. And, because of so many things going to affect them. Socially speaking, it's going to affect them. Mentally, emotionally, it's going to affect them. And, and maybe it's a good thing. A lot of things, I think that's a good thing because unfortunately, it has to take something like that sometime for a lot of family to have the wake up call and to actually getting on the right track as the type of parenting style they're using, getting on the right track as to how they want to move forward in the future with their family, teaching their kids about the value of money, the value of working, because, before COVID, everything was cruising, the economy was booming, tax was cut. I mean, yay. But now it's like, well, now what? Real life happened. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's going to affect them.
How can as as a parenting coach, how would you be helping them through this? Like, should we be explaining all this to our kids? Maybe it's too much.
Well, it depends. It has to do with their age, obviously, and the type. Every children, are not the same. Every child is different. Cognitive development and all that. But at the end of the day, if they're like 3 to 4 or 5 years old, very restrict of whatever it is that you want to share. But from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 up, moderate whatever it is that you need to say. But when it comes to preteen and teenager, it's time. You need to have that talk. It's time. They should not be learning it from their friends or from you talking to your spouse and then they eavesdropping. No, no, no. You need to set a time, 12, 13, 15, 16, sit them down, say, okay, this is what's going on right now because of COVID. This is what we as a family are going through, and these are the things that we're going to do in order for us to keep moving forward. But for you to be self-aware of that and actually have that meeting, you have to be on the same team with your partner. And that's where it goes back to why there's going to be a lot of divorce. A lot of parents are not on the same page.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. And one of the important focus on this summit is about, alternative educational options, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
looking at, as well as parenting balance, right? And
Yeah.
everything. So I'm wondering, like, how would a parent bring, for example, a younger your kids are, it's easy to say, okay, we're going to homeschool my kid from
Mm-hmm.
now on,
Yeah.
right? Because they're not going to rebel that much. But if they're a
Yeah.
teenager, and you really have a strong idea as a parent, I have a 13-year-old, for
Yeah.
example. If I feel like I want to take him out, I'd still have to talk to him because
Yeah.
he is, old enough to understand a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things, right?
Yeah.
How would you recommend a parent start that conversation? And I know ultimately it's my choice because I'm
Yeah.
his mom and I know the best, right? But I
Yeah.
still have to honor that conversation
Yes.
with him, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you do that?
Again, when it comes to teenagers, it's very important that they feel seen, known, and understood by their parent. This is number one reason why teen joined like horrible gangs and then just participated in ridiculous toxic relationship and games. Why? Because at home they're not seen, they're not heard, they don't feel understood, they don't feel cared for. So when it comes to a 13-year-old, you as a parent decide, okay, we're going to homeschool. The first thing is, do you know how your child feel? When it comes to school, like, do they actually love going to school? Or what type of what when it comes to 10 top 10 subject at school, what are the top 5 or top 3 that they actually love? What kind of relationship do they have with the teachers? Like, all that come into account. And then if you have a very introvert kid that is shy, and that's not to bash, that's just who they are, you're going to have to do that transfer very slowly, because school gave them an opportunity to, you know, push through and develop, what's what I'm looking for, tenacity, and then, you know, stand up to their peers. Now, again, if you pull them out, just grab them out like that, you're going to have to prepare for the side effect. So it depends on your child. It depends on their relationship with school. It depends on how they relate to their friends and their teachers and the type of subject that they like. So all of that come into account when it comes to older children, I guess. So yeah, it has, yeah, you have to brush on all of that, because I know for a fact as a teenager, staying at home for school would be like, oh, catastrophic, like nightmares, because at school, I got to be with my friend. At home, I was not seen, I was not heard. My opinion and feelings did not matter at all. So school was a refuge. I used to walk so slow after school because I hated going home. So I would be like taking the longest route to go home because I hated going. So like, and my mom would be like, "You're going to stay home for school?" What? No, no, I want to go to school. So it has to do with your child character, and you know his relationship with his friend at school, his teachers. Yes, you know best because you're his mom, but at the end of the day, you do want to make the wisest decision, because that's his future.
Mm-hmm.
You already have. And I'm like, I fell for it. You already have your future. Yeah.
I think one of the things, like you said, to have an open conversation, and that
Hmm.
includes all these all these point of views, right? All of
Yeah.
these perspectives, bring it in, and then make sure they understand it, because you have to provide a why for them, right? Why are we going to do this homeschooling?
Hmm.
The older they are, right? They need
Yeah.
to understand to be on board. So, Krysty, you talk about character center parenting style, right? What does
Yes.
that mean? What does that look like?
It's, mainly there are like four main parenting style that parents use all over the world for centuries, whether we're aware of it or not. With my studies, I realized the type of parenting style my mom, raised me, and I'm like, whoo. So, there are four main parenting style. There, the child-centered parenting style, the uninvolved or detached parenting style, the authoritarian or parent-centered parenting style, and then you have the authoritative or character-centered parenting style, which is the one that actually works. When you talk to parent, or like a lot of group of parent, you always have, as a parent coach, I feel like you always have that feedback that, well, it's not just black and white. We, everything, every parents are different. Every family is different. We have our own thing that works for us. Yes, to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, when it comes to parenting style, there is one that works. All the other ones are catastrophic and damaging, and leave children to have to deal with the side effect for years to come. Even as a adult, I still have to work on myself on a regular basis because of the type of parenting style my mom raised me in. So yeah, I am a huge advocate for character-centered parenting style, which is basically where both parent and children have a platform where they can be respected, honored, understood, loved, but at the same time, the fine line between respect is clear. The fine line between having boundaries is clear. The fine line between women that have high expectation, healthy high expectation for their children. No, we expect you to work hard. We expect you to have good grade. We don't, promote mediocrity. So this is the type of parenting style where the children grew up to fit, stand up to their peers. They grew up to be very successful emotionally, mentally, not because the parents were perfect, but because the foundational for the parenting journey was the right one.
Mm-hmm. And is it when it's character, do you look at the child's character too, or just?
Yeah, this is why I call it, it's, the clinical term is authoritative parenting style, but I switch it to character center, because when I was reading, all of the characteristics, I'm like, but at the end of the day, you the parent, as a parent, you want to focus more on the reason why your children behave the way they behave, their motive, their, what's in their heart and mind. Just because little Johnny is hitting his friend at school, not because he's a bad boy, but why is he doing it? Like, what's in his heart? What's the home environment? What are you letting him watching? What are you letting him listening to? What kind of conversation you having in front of him? All of it come into contact into why he behaves the way he behaves. Children don't pop out being a gangster, so it's learned, it's tolerated, so this is why I call it character centered parenting, because a child being, rude at 7 or 6 years old, there's a reason why. Maybe you're not teaching your children, emotional vocabulary. Maybe you're not really thoughtful about teaching them empathy. And that's how bullies begin. They don't know anything about being empathy, empathize with their peers. So when they hit them or they kick them, they don't connect with that pain that they inflicted on them, because they don't have any emotional vocabulary. So all of this come into account. So yes, character-centered parenting has a lot to do with the character of your children, why they are doing what they're doing, and valuing who they are as an individual.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what brings the holistic or the wholesome
Yeah, yeah,
result
yeah,
to all of this, right? Because you want to look at all parts of it, right? It's
yeah,
not just one part. You don't look at their behavior only, but
yeah.
where did that come from, right? Where did it
Yes.
stem from, right? You value greatly on having family meetings.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Tell us
Again,
about
yeah. The reason why I value family meeting is, it has every question you just asked me go back to the family meeting, because at the end of the day, let's say right now, okay, COVID happened, kids are in home, on their screen time is off the wall, they're on their phone, on their laptop, whatever, iPad. When it comes to family meeting is healthy, it's good, it's important, it's crucial, because in family meeting you have an opportunity to get to know your children. You have an opportunity to know their world, what exactly is happening in their world. What's the show they're watching this week, what music are they listening to this month. In family meeting, your children can have an opportunity to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. In family meeting, you as a couple get to influence or promote oneness. Like, the kids gonna see mom and dad are a team. I can go on and on. I have like a 10 point that I can share about how important family meetings is, because again, a lot of time, when I watch the news, you see a kid go into a school and hurt his classmate, and almost always I have yet to see a parent, unfortunately. Maybe I need to find that video. I have yet to see a parent that come up when the news people are asking, why did your children do this? Almost always the parents always say, our little Johnny would have never done such thing. He was such a sweet boy, everyone loved him. Lies. You do not know your children, and I'm very like blunt to it, because when it comes to knowing your child's love language, when it comes to knowing who your children are, it's your duty as a parent to know that. And family meetings gives you an opportunity every 2 or 3 months. Let's sit around the table. Of course, you need to have a private family meeting with your spouse first, so that the points you're going to talk about, before the kids. But then, take turn, ask, Sarah, hey, Sarah, what's going on? And of course, the earlier you start, the better, because by the time they get to be 16 and, 17, it's going to be like, it was fine, like they
that.
wouldn't share more. But the earlier you start, the better, because it will create the habit. Oh, every 3 months, on the third, oh, it's family meeting. It's on the calendar, in the fridge. We know what's going to happen that day. I don't care what's going to happen. Unless it's an absolute emergency, we do not ignore or neglect family meeting, because it's important. You get to know that, and you get to reevaluate your family rules, the boundaries, so the kids know, okay, these are the consequences, these are the rewards, these are our responsibility in the house. This is mom, this is that, this is what we do as a family, this is our motto. But it's very important. Oh yes, I can write a book about
so
very.
so you say that it's very valuable because you're actually teaching them the connection between the whole family members, right?
Yes, yes,
Again, you're bringing that wholesome to your
yes,
family, right?
yes, yes.
And what if you have like 3 or 4 kids?
Mm-hmm.
How do you address, I might have just concerns with one of my kid, not the other one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we bring in them all into a conversation? Do we want to do that in front of all of my kids?
Oh no, no. So family meeting is the what is it? The end all what's what I'm for the thing that brings all of us together. If
Yeah.
I have 4 kids, and Stephanie is has been wilding out or being disrespectful or whatever the issue might be, mom and dad's going to talk to Stephanie first. Mom and dad's going to resolve that with Stephanie at the family meeting. We don't need to repeat that again, unless Stephanie has been unkind to his sibling or her sibling. Unless Stephanie has been unkind to her sibling, has been neglecting her duty in the house, like her chores and everything, then we address that as a whole. But whatever Stephanie did, mom and dad's going to deal with Stephanie privately. You have to, keep in account not to shame or belittle your children, because that doesn't promote oneness. It promotes actually discord and division. So yeah, the big every 3 month family meeting is the overall of how have we been doing for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's apart from everything that happened individually to all the children, this is who we are. So what's been going on, so that what's the thing about locking your door, that's not in my house, that's not acceptable. Locking your door, like, what if there's a fire, I need to open the door, locking your door. And I am a huge advocate of no screen time or no TV or game in the children's room. That's another thing, that differs from family to family. But this is what game have you been playing lately, son? Let's talk about it. But again, you have to be self-aware as a parent and as an individual. You have to make it count. Like, you have to take it, character-centered parenting style is hard in the sense that you have to make the effort. You cannot be linear. You cannot just wing it. You need to be intentional, and you need to make time. There is time, because those are your most precious treasure, like your most precious possession. There is time. You do not want to become part of the statistic because you wanted to climb the corporate ladder so much so that you neglect your son, and then you see him on TV shooting his classmate, and you're like, my little Johnny would have never done that. No, you didn't know Johnny. That's why that happened. Johnny was screaming every day at you. You couldn't hear him because you were too busy being a man, or I don't know, like, climbing the corporate ladder or whatever. Your job as a parent is to know your children. I mean, know your children. So yeah, family meeting gives you an opportunity from A to Z to know every 2 weeks. And the earlier you start, you're gonna know, it's that time of the month again. We're gonna sit around the table. Yeah, but we're going to do it. And of course, don't make it like an hour or two. That's that's like
lecture time. Lecture time.
Yeah.
It's not a lecture time. It's a family conversation time, right?
Yeah.
Going back and forth. One of the things you touched on there about, I wanted to ask about, was love language.
Yes.
Even kids have that, right? Like
Oh yes. Yeah. Yes.
You have to
Oh
really
my God.
understand.
Important, because I realized my love language is physical touch, and I was physically abused for all of my life, I guess, and before I become an adult. So it's in our culture where I'm from, unfortunately, like, corporal punishment is huge. My love language is physical touch. So because I was abused physically, and so I grew up building a wall around myself. Like, I refused to allow people to come close to me. Like, even now as an adult, you have to be very special in my life for me to allow you to give me a hug. It's like, woo, do not touch me. And I talk to parents about it, because I'm like, your child's love tank might be dry. Why? Because you thinking being a good mom, buying them the latest gadget, hugging them all the time, making them comfortable, doing things for them, is how you express your love. That might be your love language as a parent and as an adult. His love language might be words of affirmation, and you never speak his love language, and you wonder why he's always frustrated, he's always moody, he's always talking back, he's like mean at this point, because his love tank is empty, has been empty for so long. My sister's love language is words of affirmation, and unfortunately, and I do not hold my mom for it, because she didn't know better, and our culture did not even promote anything. So even for me, my love language is not words of affirmation, but I've never heard my mom say I love you, which is like, here in America, that would be like, what? But in our culture, it's not said. Not only it's not said, like, my sister, her love language is words of affirmation and gifts. So saying something, like, in the morning, I'll say, hey, how are you? You're doing so great. Do not give up. Like, that makes her world to hear that. And my mom never spoke that. So, it's very important, because if their love tank is empty, they're going to find another way to feel it, whether it's the right one or not. And that's how they join gang, because the gangs are low. That's one thing I hate. Well, I guess I love. One thing, that's positive when it comes to us, the teenagers looking for a sense of belonging. And they join a group or squad for girls, I get, or like a guy, boys join a gang. Gangs are loyal, which is weird, but they are. Like, when I watch CSI, I'm watching Law and Order, that's one thing you always find, or like documentary, they are loyal to one another.
Mm.
Like if you mess up with one of them, the whole club come at you. And
Mhm.
this is why, kids are prone and vulnerable to this type of thing, because they're looking for something like that at home and they don't find it.
Their tank
So
is empty. Whoever's
yeah,
gonna fill
so
it, right way or wrong
let's
way.
do it. Yeah, let's do it. So yes, I highly recommend that parents,
What?
take the test, find out what's your child's love language. The earlier, the better.
Mm.
Because my love language is not acts of service. My mom can do everything from today until rapture, whatever, thank you, but it doesn't do anything for me, because that's not how I feel loved and cared for and understood and appreciated. Give me a hug, spend some time with me. Yes, yes, let's do this. But you
Mhm.
can give me gifts, I'll say thank you, but that's not how I feel love. My sister, if I call her and say I send you something, like her face is like, ah.
Yeah,
It's the weirdest thing. Yeah.
yeah. Kids need that a lot.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about you had a story there you told us earlier. I want you to go into that again. Is about online safety now, right? Because we were isolated at home. This
Yes.
computer where we are speaking now is the only medium we had in order to connect with the outer world. So
Yeah.
kind of value this more than ever
Yeah.
now, right? If I told my son turn off your computer or your phone before now, we asked them to turn it on, right? Switch
Mm-hmm.
on it because that's where your friends are, your homework is, your teachers are, right? So but that brings a risk and safety issues, right? So
Yes.
tell us about that. How do we like prevent, and what did you notice in your line of work?
Okay. Well, in my line of work, it's mainly, again, I always, when it comes to behavioral issue or any issue that's happening in the family, as a parent, like in your parenting journey, whatever struggle you're having, I always tell parents to first reanalyze or reevaluate your parenting style. Notice what type of parenting style you practice. And if it's not character centered, a lot of the issues you're struggling with, it's because of your type of parenting style. And second is the idea that, again, I tell parents, the rest of the world could be burning down. This is your house. You pay for the electricity. You pay for the gadget that they're using. At the end of the day, whatever gadget you allow in your house, you need to monitor it. Period. The earlier, the better. You need to monitor it. It has not, there's a difference between monitoring for the sake of being on guard and alert and vigilant, and monitoring to, invade your children's privacy. That's a whole different story. But you need to monitor it. And by monitoring, you need to have clear, inextricably clear rules and regulation around whatever it is that's being used under your roof. For example, for me, and I will always tell my client, like, I advocate for this, I'm not asking you to do it, but do not allow electronics in the room up, let's say it's like past 10:30. No, do not have TV in the room. Why do they need the TV in the room for? Give me one thing, like, why they do not allow TV in the room. Monitor the cell phone to know what sites they're going on. The earlier the better. And that, unfortunately, most parents do that or try to do this after, but this, you need to do it before. Let's say your kid is like turning 13 soon, and they've been asking for that phone for like 3 years.
Mm.
So you tell them, okay, when you turn 13 or when you turn 15, I got my first one at like 16. So, it's like, when you turn 15, you can, your mom and dad's gonna talk, your mom and dad's going to talk about maybe giving you a cell phone. But we want you we want you to know these are the rules for you to have that cell phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. So beforehand, he already knows these are the guidelines. So, and then you have to ask him, remind me again what will happen if you break one of these.
Mm.
Take it. You pay for that phone. Which one is more important? For your child to like you or for you to protect them from online predator? Sometimes I say it like that, so I'm like, yeah, you need to understand it. Hear me say it. So yeah, the earlier the better. We analyze your parenting style, have clear, reasonable guideline for whatever is being used electronically under your roof. And at the end of the day, your job as a parent is to be the lion protecting your cubs from the hyenas and then the leopards and all of them out there. So
Mm.
yeah, this is how I say it. I know,
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I don't understand.
Now I'm scared. No. but
Yeah.
but why is it that now more than ever we need to be careful?
Okay. Now more than you need to be careful all the time, actually. But yeah,
Yes,
now,
but now though. Even
Now,
worse, right?
because that the the kids have been cut off from their social life. They can't go to the mall with their best friend and go shopping. They can't go get ice cream. They can't go to the beach. They can't go to concert, Billie Eilish or whatever. So, all of that is how they communicate. They interact with their best friend. Now they can't do none of that. So the only other option is online. My friends are online. TikTok, oh my goodness. So, my friends are online. So I need to be online just like as my friends are online, so that I can stay relevant as they are relevant, so and I can connect with them, and I can do all of this thing with my mom, because we can't meet anymore, we can't hang out, we can't do all that. And then when you are in this reality, most parent tends to, oh my goodness, I understand, they can't do anything. Let them do whatever. I'll be loose on them. The predators knows that. They know. Oh yeah, they do. They do. They know that, well, they can't go out, they can't do this and can't do that, and the parents are stressed out with their work, with everything that's going on. They're gonna be very lenient on them on what they allow them to do, that they would not necessarily allow them to if it was normal time. They know that. That's one thing of predators. They study their prey. They know that. They know the number one place for teenagers to be right now is TikTok. They know it. And the second one's probably gonna be Instagram, and the third maybe YouTube. But the first one right now, till today, to date, is TikTok, and they're going there using whatever device that they use to lure them. And right now they feel lonely. They feel cast out. They feel alone. They feel like they don't. What gives them a sense of belonging was their school, and now they can't go to school. They can't do lacrosse. They can't do football. They can't do soccer. Running. So they feel alone and they feel annoyed. So anybody that's going to pay them this much of attention, or give them any sense of gratification, they're going. They're not wise enough. The frontal lobe is not even finishing growing. So yes, they are the most vulnerable prey right now, and the predators know it.
So that's
Yeah.
why we have to be extra
Yes.
careful with how we parent, right? And our rules.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you had this very good, I mean, it's not a good example, but a sad example, but about that boy, right?
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. And it's interesting because as I watched the post, I thought the person was joking, because I couldn't, like, in my head I was like, nah, 21st, like 2020, 21st century, that will not happen. And then I had to call my sister, because she is a, what is it, criminal mind addict. Like, she watches every single one of them. So I called, I'm like, hey, do you remember that episode? And true to it, there is an episode, like probably season 2 or 3, where something like that happened in Criminal Minds. And I was like, oh my goodness. So they were playing it on the Xbox. His parent went to bed. He has this gaming in his room. Mistake number 1. He has this game in his room, and it was like past midnight. They were playing the choking game, or choking challenge. This is why you need to know your child, because when you know your child, and when you let your child know, this is who we are as a family, this is how we rule, this is our belief system, a lot can be avoided, and you build your child's self-confidence, and for him to know, that's the number one thing. I come from a background office, and I do not shy away from it. This is why it's so important. Your job as a parent is for you to give your child the sense of significance. Why does he matter? There's like 7.5 billion people in the world. Why do my life matter, Mom? Like, how can you explain that to them? So when they don't have healthy confidence, they don't know who they are as an individual. They are not connected and know that home.
Yeah.
Choking challenge sounds pretty interesting right now. I'll take it. The thing that was even sadder is the fact that his friends were watching, and it was Microsoft that it detected that game, and by the time they contacted the authorities, it was too late. His parents found him in his room, already gone. And then the thing that bugs me, and I'm like, you bought that Xbox for him. And I know I'm blonde, and sometimes I feel like I'm like insensitive, but I need you to understand it. I need parents to understand it. Your money bought that Xbox. You allow him to put it in his room without any rules, without regulation, without you monitoring, him on a healthy basis. And this is the result. I don't care. I don't need you to be my best friend. I'm your parent, and my job is to protect you. Like just talking about, I'm like, I want.
It's sad. It's sad. See,
Yeah.
like, you know, to me, it's like I always go to this analogy, like I would never let, without me knowing, nobody will walk through my front door and go
Uh-huh.
into my
Yeah.
son's room. It
Yeah.
wouldn't happen. I would be like,
Yeah.
who is that? What is that? You know what I mean? We'll check on it, right? But
Uh-huh.
here we let the whole world come into their
I
house,
know. Yes.
into their
Yeah.
room, right?
And there are
So
a
we
lot.
have the authority to
Yes.
figure it out who it is
Yes.
with.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of what is it, online software to help you monitor in a healthy way. Yeah, so it's out there. It's, I don't know, parents are too busy, again, mixed priorities, and whatever, they don't care, or they don't see the danger enough, for them to actually realize that, oh, I need to give this more attention. So unfortunately, yes.
We don't recognize the danger as, you know, we're not thinking that much about those predators, right? And
Yeah.
they are studying constantly how to, you know,
Oh
get
yeah.
vulnerable kids, right? Because they just, and especially during a time like this, it's the perfect condition for them, because they know
Yeah.
the kids are, and the parents are worried, and the kids are
Yeah. Bored.
desperate for
Bored.
connection,
Yes.
desperate
Yes.
for connection, right? And
Yeah.
belong. Yeah. So
And
yes, that's just sad, but we need to be as parents very careful. And
yes,
as
and
you said,
maybe, because I'm from a third world country and my culture is different. When I moved here and I started working with families, I was shocked when, the parents will allow their kids to have tons of sleepovers. Like, to me, that was foreign
mm,
because, kids will come to my house. Like, my mom will not let us go to their house. Like,
mhm.
it's the weirdest thing because, like, in her head, like, our house was safer than their house. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they believe. So no, you're not going. They can come here. So, a lot, and I can tell you, as I'm talking to you right now, a lot of people that, a lot of kids that were molested by going to sleep over at their friend's house.
Mhm.
So huge. And one time I was working with this family in Florida, and this the little girl that I was watching, her daughter made, she started hanging out with this girl, and she was all, oh my goodness, the best friend, whatever. So, and then she asked mom if she can have a sleepover there, and then she's like, oh, that's fine. And I'm looking at her like, just like that easy. So I'm like, whatever, I'm driving. So, I drove her to the place. I'm it's not that I'm nosy, but because I speak more than 5 languages, and the girl's family was this Latina. So I was like, hi, how are you? And then I started talking with her. As I'm talking, I'm like inspecting. I'm
Mhm.
inspecting. I'm like, and I probably spent like 45 minutes there. And I'm like, okay, show me where she's going to sleep. I need to know. And I take, the house number. I'm like, this is it. It's probably because I watch too much ID channel, but and I didn't think I did too much, because in my mind I'm like, no, it's so easy, like, here, for parents to just say, yeah, whatever, you can go sleep over. Like, you don't know what's happening over there.
Mhm.
You don't know. You really don't know. And you don't know what that family believes. You don't know what they stand for. You don't know none of that. You just know your daughter is best friend with them, so that's fine. They can hang out. No, you have to be more, a little tighter than that. So
Yeah, you have to research who lives
yeah,
there. What's the, yeah, do some research before you
yeah,
send them, for sure, because when after it happened, right?
yes,
You don't
yeah,
want to feel sorry for not doing your parental job.
yeah, yeah.
Check, 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 right? Always. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I mean,
You. It was a
you work
pleasure.
with a lot of families, and and especially during the time you worked with them as well, and you see a lot of families going through divorce, separations, all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff is coming too, right? And there's hope. I mean, there's always going to be changes, always a brings chaotic situation, but it eventually works it out. But we need to, as a parenting coach and educational coach, our job
yeah,
is to make sure that we give the best resource to the parents and to the children that we work with, so that
yeah.
they get the best of it, right? I do have someone else going to come in and talk about online safety in this summit, so that would be good.
Okay.
He works for the investigation department. I'm not sure the
Oh,
exact
great.
name.
Oh man, yes, he'll tell you.
So
Yes.
he's gonna come and talk about it. But thank you so much again,
Oh,
and we'll talk again, and I'll keep in touch with you. Thank
all
you.
right. Thank you.